Ladies and gentlemen, grab your drinks and popcorn. Today's feature is about to begin. Welcome to Celluloid Codswallop.
Hey there, salty tadpoles. Welcome to this week's episode. This is a little editor's note to say that unfortunately on this audio there is a little bit of clicking and popping. And now the reason, I can't blame James this time, it was me. I went out and decided to buy myself some new headphones because, you know, I need them for editing and recording and whatnot. If you are familiar with podcasting, you know why. And didn't realise that the headphones that I'd actually purchased had a microphone on them. So basically what was happening with the audio, and we couldn't hear it at the time, was that my headphones were trying to take over on the audio as well as my actual microphone that I use. So yeah, basically, it's a lot of love gone into this episode, but as much as I've tried to get rid of the clicks and pops, I can't really get rid of them. It doesn't really detract from the episode, but I just wanted to leave a little editor's note to say that I did try, and you guys probably won't even be bothered by it. Probably not as much as I'm bothered by it, because I am very OCD when it comes to editing. So, I mean, sometimes you wouldn't believe it because, you know, I just say, all the time. But, you know, I do take a pride in this podcast, and I just wanted to let you guys know that if you're an existing listener, you kind of know this, but if you're a new listener and you're listening because of the title of the show, then it is still a really good episode and you're really going to enjoy it. But I have got that little thing which is frustrating. But there we have it. We can't have everything in life, and like I've said in previous episodes, imperfections sometimes are perfect. So, you know. And I'm just saying that because if this was James's fault, it would be a different story. I'd be having a right go at him right now, but I can't because it's my fault and it sucks. It really sucks. But there we have it. So, here is the episode. I hope you enjoy. Bye!
People once believed that when someone dies, a crow carries their soul to the land of the dead. But sometimes, just sometimes, the crow can bring that soul back to put the wrong things right.
Gasoline I smell? Victims, aren't we all?
Hello and welcome to this week's Halloween spooktacular-based Celluloid Codswallop. And as my ghost, or, you know, I would say guest, but as my ghost this week, I am joined by the wonderful Gemma Williams, who, don't get too excited, I've not got some strange spooky Gemma, or have I, in the form of the wonderful creator of Talking Codswallop. Gemma, how are we doing?
Ooh, I am the ghoulish Gemma.
That I will not disagree with.
No, I don't think I've ever been introduced, first of all, by my complete full name, or not complete full name. You missed out my middle name, but you probably don't know that. No. But and also, yes, you're a lovely intro. That's what I'm trying to say. Thank you ever so much.
well, Tadpoles, this could all be downhill from this point onwards, because it's been a complete battle to put this one together. And it was even a battle this morning, just pulling things together, things not working and health things and whatnot. But we are here now doing our best. So we're reviewing a film that is quote unquote cursed, or meant to have some sort of curse around it. We're thinking it's cursed the podcast as well. So from a Halloween standpoint, we are looking at reviewing the 1994 film The Crow. It is quoted as being a superhero film, a kind of early run on superhero films for the 90s. And it has obviously very much a mystique around it in relation to the character of someone being brought back from the dead. Mm-hmm. But it also has a tragic backstory, not only in the story of the Crow, but in the creation of the film. Yeah. The film starred Brandon Lee, who unfortunately passed away in the process of the film being made. It also has Ernie Hudson and Michael Wincott. So, Gemma, I always like to try and discuss a little bit of backstory. So how did you come to this film? How did you know about it?
Well, I was actually going to say before, if I can put my editing hat on quickly, mm-hmm. or my host head on, I was actually just going to quickly read an article that I found, mm-hmm. Which actually, for anybody who doesn't know about the death of Brandon Lee, then where have you been? But if not. I found this article that I thought was actually quite interesting, so I thought maybe it would be quite good at the beginning of the show, but I'm not the host of this episode.
No, so... please do. Please tell us. So, but before you do it, just to go into that, the character within the film that Brandon Lee plays is a musician called Eric Draven. Yeah. I will let you explain, but it's almost a sad moment of, art and life mirroring one another. So please tell us what happened when he was making the film.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So this article is from The Scotsman. Just to give them a little bit of credit. It's a headline reads, Brandon Lee death cause. How did Brandon Lee die? What happened on the set of The Crow? And then they obviously carry on to say the same thing as always. We read stories all the time. The only son of martial arts expert Bruce Lee, California-born Brandon Lee had mirrored his father by training in martial arts, while he also studied acting and was a fighting choreographer. Although his acting career was tragically cut short, the Oakland native had already starred in hit movie Legacy of the Rage, where he played a role of Detective John Murata, I think is how you say the surname, alongside award-winning Dolph Lundgren. Basically, he was 28 when he actually started playing the role of Eric Draven, who is the Crow, so the main character. The Crow, which now has a large cult following, sees the plot centered around a murdered musician, played by Lee, who is resurrected to avenge the deaths of himself and his fiancée. The film grossed $94 million at the box office, despite Paramount Pictures deciding to opt out of the distribution of the film following the death of the star. Let's see if we can actually find out where he died. Right, okay. Because this is like giving a history of the stuff, but this is, we wanted to hear the story. Mm-hmm. Lee was amidst the filming of the scene where his character, Eric Draven, is shot by a gang member who have forced him to witness the murder of his fiancée, Shelley Webster. In the scene, actor Michael Massey, who stars in other comic book films, including Catwoman. So there's our DC link there,
Sorry, I'm just having flashbacks to Catwoman. Awful.
The Amazing Spider-Man and Avengers, playing the role of Funboy, fires a 44 Magnum Smith and Wesson model 629 revolver at Draven. Is it Driven or Driven?
It's neither, it's Draven.
Oh, because it's Driven, so...
A.V. Draven, D-R-A-V-E-N. That's bad spelling, I think, from whoever's written the article.
Okay, well, there you go. I apologise for saying stuff wrong. I did think it was wrong, because I thought that it was
Scotsman, article writers, you failed miserably. Hang your heads in shame.
You assholes, making me look stupid. So anyway, Draven. So, so the revolver at Draven from approximately 12 to 15 foot as he walks into the room. In a previous scene, the exact same prop gun had been used and was fitted with dummy cartridges, which are said to look more realistic on the film. Who cares if it's more realistic at this point, but there you have it. I mean, obviously it's too late now anyway, but commercial dummy cartridges are usually fitted with bullets, although powder and primer are removed. However, catastrophically, in this instant, the prop crew took the decision to make their own dummy cartridges, thus removing the gunpowder, but beknown to themselves, leaving the primer still in the cartridge. During the filming, the revolver would have been a good thing, actually. The revolver was then discarded with an improperly deactivated cartridge in the chamber of the gun. Sadly, this meant that the primer was set off with enough force to drive the bullet into the barrel, where it became stuck, also known as a squib load. Tragically, the prop crew either failed to notice or perhaps didn't recognise the significance of this issue. In the scene, which proved fatal to Brandon Lee, the revolver was fired at Lee from a distance of 12 to 15 foot, as planned, although the dummy cartridges were swapped for blank rounds, which featured a live powder and primer, but no bullet. Devastatingly, this meant when Massey fired the gun, the bullet, which had been trapped in the barrel, was fired with virtually the same force as the gun which had been loaded with the live round. The shot hit Brandon Lee in the stomach and forced the 28-year-old actor to fall forwards as opposed to backwards, which was obviously in the script. While on set, crew originally believed that he was still acting. The magnitude of the accident soon became apparent and he was airlifted into hospital. He underwent hours of surgery at the nearby hospital, but was confirmed dead on March the 31st, 1993. Lee's death was ruled an accident due to negligence, while Massey, haunted by the accident, moved away from acting for an entire year and until his own death in 2016 cited he would never watch The Crow, which was released in 1994. So there we go. That's the end of that.
Yeah, it's it's interesting because it also shows we most recently had a sort of shooting incident with the Prom on the Rust film that was remade with Alec Baldwin. It does. It gets it shows how dangerous, even with all the precautions that can be put in place, all the things that are done, you have to be very careful because things go wrong. And it's also interesting that within the film, you see elements still of the scene where he got shot. I don't think they had to use the exact moment of his death. Obviously, that'd be a bit too much. But you see the scene still within the film. And it's interesting with regard to what happened that this is one of the first really early films where they use CGI to use images of him to be able to reinsert them in the film so they could finish it. Now, interestingly, when his father died, forgive me on what the film was, but they had to use some sort of other body doubles and things to complete the film that he'd died before he got to finish it off. So there's an element of unfortunate mirroring there. But and thank you for obviously giving us the information on that, Gemma. To go back to my earlier question, how did you learn about the Crow film initially? Is this one of these things that you just kind of like by osmosis found out about, or what's your history with watching it?
Yeah, I actually just stumbled upon it. I think I probably found it in I don't know, when Blockbuster was still a thing, like in a bargain bucket. And I sort of looked at the imagery of the case and I was just like, that looks good. And I brought it sort of thing. So I didn't really have the knowledge of what the film, was about. Obviously, I could kind of work out what it would be from, Well, no, not really, because the title doesn't give it away, does it? No, but so I think it's one of my best freak accidents, kind of thing. So
yeah, I interestingly found about the way I first ever found out about The Crow was one of my friends at school was heavily I don't know if he knew the comic book it came from, but he was heavily interested in the film, and he had always mentioned to me that it was worth watching it. And I saw it when I was at university. I was like, hey, this is quite an interesting film. And I remember watching it and enjoying it, because when you watch it, obviously it looks, putting aside what the tragic situation what happened with Brandon Lee, it's an interesting film to see. So it's set around Halloween. And obviously you touched upon the fact that, Eric Draven and his fiancée, they're attacked by a gang. His fiancée is killed. He is obviously then killed. And then, it is a situation, Ernie Hudson's character, who's Sergeant Daryl Albrecht, is investigating, is aware of what's happened. And at that point, obviously that's it. That's for the murder has happened. It's awful. It's terrible. Interestingly though, a year later, Eric is brought back from the dead by a crow on his gravestone. Or what I will say, and I'd like your view on this, for a guy who's been in the ground for a year, he looked pretty fresh.
He did. He looked pretty fresh, and he looked pretty fucking hot as well, to be honest. Pretty sexy.
Okay. If he is a handsome, you see it in a different light to me, but he was a handsome man, so I can see why that is. But yeah, he also has all his eyes and things intact.
Yeah, there's literally no limb or anything, hanging off.
Nope.
But then he's in undead, isn't he? So
that's true. He does have the scars from his shooting, doesn't he? I think, if memory serves.
Yeah.
Me. You can see his wounds. But he obviously has to go back. I mean, he finds clothing, things like that. He's very lucky in that respect. He also,
the crow finds him clothing.
Well, that's true. Yeah, it finds him shoes, I think, doesn't it, or something?
Yeah.
But yeah, because he goes back to the wrecked apartment that he died in, and he finds clothing and luckily still in a cupboard to put on. He also puts on makeup. I'm glad he wasn't sued by Kiss, because he puts on white makeup with black eyeliner and decides that he's going to go and take revenge. And one of the coolest things that I like that when he's going round is that he has second sight, doesn't he? Because he can see what the crow can see. So when he gets into a fight with one of the guys who throws knives, because what I find interesting is Eric can get hurt, but he heals.
Yeah.
So you can beat him up and it'd damage him, but he will heal, because when he gets shot, his wounds heal. But he's fighting a guy who never misses with knives. But then he basically, I think the guy was called Tintin. He gets revenge, doesn't he, by just stabbing and slicing him up.
Yeah.
Just before really cool.
I was going to say, just before we move on to that one as well, because when he's actually in his apartment, frog in the throat, sorry. When he's in the apartment, he starts getting flashbacks of everything that's happened as well. And that's quite an emotional scene, isn't it? And how did that cat survive a year?
Oh yeah, the cat. Yeah, I forgot about the cat.
Yeah, it's that girl didn't bother to go back to see if the cat was alive, kind of thing. Obviously, because we haven't mentioned about Sarah yet. Because Sarah was a girl who she wasn't any relation to Eric or Shelley. But yeah, they kind of just looked after her because her mum was a a useless junkie, wasn't she? So, yeah. But it's just the fact that that white cat was still lovely and fluffy and white. After a year, it didn't look like it had been out on the road, picking up food. It just managed to survive somehow.
It's true, yeah. And actually going back to the flashback scene where they put the stuff together to show what happened, it's kind of like Eric sees his whole death, and it's had the cool moment where he remembers being pushed out the window. Very 90s special effect point there, where he sees himself out the window, but then he grabs and does a swing. Yeah, cuts his hands, but then sees that he can. That's when he obviously kind of first learns that he can heal. Yeah, which is a really cool thing. But yeah, and then you see the gang who've been involved in killing him. One of them, for some reason, has a thing about swallowing bullets. Don't really understand why.
Oh, yeah.
You'd want to do that as a drinking game, but
I think that was just I think that was just to prove how kind of hardcore they were, kind of thing, but also idiotic.
Hardcore or stupid.
Because it sort of cuts to a bar scene where they're all sat around and they're all, happy because it's Devil's Night, isn't it? So it's the night before Halloween, and they're just they're drinking these shots and they're all doing different ways of swallowing these bullets. One's putting a cigar out on his tongue, and it's because they're so hardcore and dangerous and angst and all these stuff, kind of thing, and just to show how real badass they are, but actually they're big fat wusses.
Yeah, the dumbasses, basically.
yeah, they are. And if it wasn't for the head guy, who we haven't got to yet, but if it wasn't for that guy, then they would be mere criminals, kind of thing. It's just they're governed by a chief, so to speak, aren't they? So.
Well, one of the things I like on this film that I find interesting that sort of makes me laugh is that I can imagine back in the day, if you're watching this, you'd be thinking, do I need to turn the contrast up if you're watching it at home? Because it's incredibly dark the way it's shot. It's very atmospheric. I don't know if he's trying to go for a Batman-y style vibe, which you could probably imagine there would be around the time, because it's of, that was kind of the prominent superhero that was around at the time. But it's interesting to see that. But yeah, these are kind of like really good visuals. And obviously, as we were saying, I think it's the Tinkin character, isn't it?
Yeah.
He am I right in thinking the coat he has was Eric's coat, the long coat? Because he ends up, that becomes quite a thing of his image, doesn't it? He takes it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was originally his coat or if it was just the fact that he wore it as like a badge of honor that he'd killed that guy, kind of thing.
Or he just likes it and like, I'll look like more of a badass if I wear a long leather coat.
I can't. I really can't remember if that was originally his or not. But definitely, to be honest, he did look more of a badass with it on. So Brandon Lee can't do anything wrong.
I do love the fact that he has he suddenly develops really cool knife powers as part of what happens after you've been brought back. He's managing to throw knives and stuff with no major problems.
I was going to say because after the knife scene, which was really cool, basically the Tintin ends up getting stabbed with all of his knives, which is amazing. The graphics in that was not graphics, but the action part in that was really well done. And then the signature crow gets left on the ground. It was drawn on the wall in blood because every time the crow attacks, which I've got a confession to make. When I was watching this film before, my brain is clearly a little bit on the fourth side at the moment. That when the crow was actually on top of the tomb, not tomb, sorry, but the gravestone.
Oh, the grave, yeah.
Yeah, I was going, oh look, there's the raven.
Well, different species family sort of thing, but
Yeah, so I was like, oh, you are so stupid. So I thought, you know what, I have to tell people. Don't keep things to yourself when you're stupid. You have to tell people. But the scene after that is he then goes to the shop.
Well, there's a club as well. There's a club which you then cut to where all the bad guys hang out. And it also, interesting, on the wall has a picture of Eric's band when he was alive, which is like strangely signed. So they must have been reasonably shit hot for people because there's a picture on the wall. And you see where all the bad guys are hanging out, and they're just a really horrible, skeevy, vile bunch. But yeah, Eric goes to a pawn shop, which is run by one of my the late great John Polito, who's like one of my favourite actors. I know him from, he was in loads of stuff I love, like The Big Lebowski and The Rocketeer, and he's playing a rather, would I consider him a bad guy? Possibly not. He just seems to be doing the best he can with the stuff.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shady character, I suppose, isn't he?
Yeah, because he's got what would it be? I've gone blank. What was she?
The engagement ring.
He's got Shelley's engagement ring, hasn't he? Which is what Eric's hunting for. And basically, he gets all the stuff. I mean, it's a very well put together scene. So he manages to find a load of rings. Eric puts them in a shotgun after sort of trying to get information from the pawnbroker.
Stabs his hand.
Yep, he does. He to get his response, he stabs his hand, leaves him, and then departs with the comment of, "Is that gasoline I smell?"
Yeah,
and then fires a shotgun that he's found, but instead of firing bullets, he fires rings. Now, I'm pretty sure that if this had happened, I'm sure the shotgun would probably have exploded in his hands, because I can't see it being able to projectile rings like that.
Yeah, I'm not really sure on I know nothing about guns, so it's probably earlier when I was reading about guns and I was probably pronouncing certain things wrong. But I absolutely know nothing about guns, so unfortunately I can't really help you there, James. Sorry.
but visually it looked good, didn't it? It was an interesting thing to see. But yeah, it's and obviously dealing with all this, stuff. It could be a Nick Cage film. Shit's blowing up and setting on fire.
Yeah.
And then of course Ernie Hudson is as the police officer, he's trying to work out what the hell's going on, and he sees Eric, and of course Eric is trying to say, like, he's trying to remind him of him, isn't he? And he's saying, well, the guy's dead. It's not.
It can't be him.
It can't be him, yeah. So logically. I also noticed when I did find something that did stick in my memory from that scene that I thought was really odd, is his badge wasn't there on his uniform, which I thought was a bit of a strange thing for a police officer.
Okay, I didn't notice that, to be honest. I think because he was demoted, wasn't he?
But his entire shield was missing on his jacket. You can see where it's supposed to. I remember looking, thinking, that's interesting. Is he really a cop, or is he just wandering around? Unless,
of course, he wasn't on duty at the time. Which may
possible. I don't know. He was. There were other officers with him, so who knows? Could have just been a costume department oversight.
Yeah, it could just simply be that we could be looking into things that are unnecessary kind of thing. But it definitely did seem because he kind of was off duty, wasn't he? Because he'd met up with Sarah to get a hot dog, hadn't he?
Yeah, that was well, maybe, but yeah, I did find it just an interesting thing. So it cuts to him obviously trying to work out what on earth is going on. We've seen our lovely skeevy, disgusting bad guys, and drugs play a prominent part in this film.
Yes.
Heroin usage.
Incest.
I do particularly love the scene. Kind of. I do particularly love the scene like when Eric gets shot in the hand.
Yeah.
Which was pretty cool special effect of the time. When he's like, he's been shot through the hand, and he's actually just looking through his entire hand. I'm just like, finds it as amusing as the guy who shot him, actually.
and then it starts healing up, and he's like,
yeah. And then, they just get shot again. But obviously, I mean, personally, if it was me and I'd shot a guy and his hand had healed in front of me, I think I know you keep shooting at him, but I'd be like, oh God, this isn't going to do anything, is it? It's absolutely pointless.
I suppose the logic that would be there, not that there's any logic at all with the bad guys, but, I think also it would just be the case that it would...
fear.
Yeah, but it would hold him off for a couple of seconds so they could maybe run away. I don't know. There was no running away though, was there?
Monty Python style, run away, run away.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But he dispatches Eric dispatches him and drags like his so the girl, the girlfriend who's obviously a drug addict has gone into the has tried to hide away in the bathroom.
Yeah,
and he then obviously Eric drags the body of the guy he's killed into the bathroom and sticks him in the bath for some reason with the shower running.
Yeah, because that woman is actually Sarah's mum, isn't it?
It's Sarah's mother, isn't it? Yeah, because he basically disarms her because she arms herself with the straight razor, and he's then trying to. One of his magic powers is that instead of Eric going around avenging, he could work in a drugs rehab place because he has the ability to remove drugs from people's system. Which is both cool and gross at the same time.
Yeah. But he spares her life, doesn't he? Because he's like, you're supposed to, what was the quote? It's something along the lines of, mother is God on children's lips or something like that.
Yeah, and heroin is the milk sort of thing that, I don't know, kills people or something.
Yeah. But I think
not only is there a message here about not killing people, there's a message about not doing drugs.
Or drinking milk. But I think he was more trying to say, you've got a kid at home. Go home and look after your kid, She's more important than any of this.
And so she runs out in shimmer underwear, which is fair enough. And Eric's looking at needles. And somehow, and I've never managed to work this one out, how on earth the guy who run the pawn shop isn't dead. Yeah. Because he's in a bar. He's been stabbed through the hand. The place has been set on fire, and he's hanging out in a bar with a guy who played Candyman. Who's just brilliant in this. Very cool looking. Nice line of suits.
He's got a burnt head as well, hasn't he? He's got third degree burns on his head. Well, because he did manage to get out of the shop by the time, I keep saying shop, but it's like pawn shop, you know what I mean? He did manage to get out of the shop just before it exploded. So it was probably, but yeah, you're right. He definitely was, but he was the messenger, wasn't he? He wasn't the one that was supposed to die. He just was unfortunate that he was involved, by association, really, I suppose.
But it is very cool when, I'll just keep calling him Candyman because I've forgotten the character's name. He goes into the room and finds the guy plugged to the hilt with needles in the chest. And then just sees Eric go out the window, going, shh. He takes a very relaxed attitude to that. He just shoot at him or wonder why there's a crow symbol drawn on the guy's chest.
Yeah. Why there's a man going shh in the first place. Yeah, it was that's quite a comical relief part, isn't it, really?
Yeah. Well, there's got to be some comical relief because this thing's so dark.
Yeah. The thing is, as well, it's normally with regards to, film genres and stuff like that, I kind of go away from sort of action type films, but this film for me, I know we're kind of going off topic slightly here, but
it's okay,
but it's still on topic, obviously. But this film, as though it's got the action, it's got action, it's got the drama, it's got the horror-y side of things, and it's also got the like I said, the comical side of things, but it's also slightly comic book-y as well. Enough for me to sort of enjoy this film. If it was just pure action, then I might be having a different conversation now. Yeah, this is definitely one of my favourite films. Sorry, I should have said that at the end maybe, but I'm saying it now.
And I also, for a comedy kind of front, like the fact that when we cut to Ernie Hudson, he's for some reason in his T-shirt and underwear, fair enough, but he's also wearing his policeman's hat still. So
Yeah.
Is there a woman coming around? Is there some role play going on that we don't know about?
Yeah.
The fact that I'm starting to wonder if he's even a cop at all. No badge when he's out and about. He's just, yes. Is he a stripper? Could that be it? Have we missed something out? Is he a stripper in his spare time?
I think he could be. I definitely think he could be. Yeah, because Eric sort of swings by, doesn't he? Swings by the apartment, you know. I'm not sure if that's like the next scene or not.
Oh no, we're pretty much there. Yeah, he swings by and he begins to discuss what, well, he's telling him basically they're coming to the idea of the real reality of it.
Yeah.
And he's nice. He gives him a beer from his own fridge. I was really hoping Eric could drink that, actually. But obviously, no, he just gives it to Ernie Hudson's character. And he does a mind meld with him, doesn't he? So he gets a full flashback to what happened.
Yes.
And the whole outlay of it, of what happened with Sally. Yeah.
Yeah, which is quite a sad scene in itself, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's like basically because Officer Albright, I'm going to call him that, but he's Ernie Hudson as well. So he stayed with Shelley the entire time. And although he said because he wanted to get a statement from her, I think it was actually because he actually gave a shit. There's a couple of police officers in this film, or cops, or however what you want to call them. But there's a couple, and one is a complete and utter asshole, and then you've got Ernie Hudson's character, who is just he's doing his job, but he also cares about his job as well, and that's what that kind of scene gave us, I think, is the knowledge that he and also the fact that he did have his hat on. It's almost like it's part of him, so he probably forgot that he actually had it on. Do you know what I mean?
It could well be that, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that you then jump to it sounds a bit harsh. I'm going to call Michael Wincott, who's the supremo bad guy in this, who's like Rent-A-Villain for films of the 90s. Because looking at him in this, I'm pretty sure that he just walked straight off the set of this film onto the set of Strange Days, because he pretty much looks identical in both of them. Same long wig, clothing stuff.
I mean, maybe he did. Maybe he recorded at the same time, so...
It's certainly possible. Don't change the wig, Michael. No need. Just alternate between sets. We'll be fine.
And I love the fact that
your dialogue up.
Yeah, and I love the fact that I just said recorded rather than filmed. I clearly got recording on the brain. Good.
But yeah, Mike, so we then cut to the villain's lair, and, well, I won't want to be the pawnbroker at this point. But, it's interesting that you've got, what's the lady called?
Micah.
Micah's character, played by Ling. She's a bit on the side. But yeah, they also...
There's also his half-sister as well, we need to point out.
We can't cast aspersions about a film where they bring a band back from the dead. It's... I was thinking that half-sister when I was watching, what the...
Yeah, and there's this other girl that's kind of on the bed with them as well, isn't it? While they're just doing their drugs.
Yeah, that's earlier on. Yeah, and I'm trying to work out whether she died or not. It's really dark. But yeah, when they've got as every good villain has, as I'm sure is a normal thing, a cupboard full of swords. Just in the strange dark building they're in.
I think I'm sorry though, but I think we can't overlook the eyeball scene. I'm sorry, James, but we have to go to the eyeball scene. Basically, so Micah, so the Bia Ling, I think is how you said it. So she she says that this girl that's laying dead on the bed is, I'm assuming it's a drug overdose is the reason why she's dead. But, I don't know. Maybe they fucked her to death. I don't know. But anyway, so she goes, oh, she's got such beautiful eyes. And then she takes a knife and, you don't actually see the fact that she cuts the eye out. But then in a later scene, she's like smoking this eye, and they're inhaling the steam from the smoke from the cooking eye, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you discussed that one because it's pretty disgusting. But again, don't ever become a pawnbroker when you're around any of these people because you will come to it's the killing of him is overkill. He stabs him through the throat.
Yeah.
Wincott's character, and then shoots him. Yes, because I'm sure having a knife rammed through your throat isn't enough to kill you, is it? No. Someone on set must be shouting, "Ramp it up to 11."
Yeah, definitely.
But. No, other than, Eric doesn't just come back from the dead to avenge, himself and his fiancée. Oh, no. He's also very nice and looks after the puddy cat still, like you said. He's doing his thing. He keeps feeding the cat and he sits on the roof of... this just makes me laugh. So he sits on the roof playing a guitar with the crow sat there with him.
Yeah.
Would nobody else in the city be like, there's some weird guy... sat on top of a building who looks really pasty playing a guitar?
Well, actually, where is this set, by the way?
When or where?
Where?
I don't know off the top of my head, I'm afraid. I can't remember.
Because I was trying to find that out. And I mean, that's kind of got no relevance with the next thing that I'm going to say. But I just wondered, because it's a big city, at least.
Detroit. Sorry, it's Detroit. It's set.
Detroit.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Because I wasn't 100% like if it was maybe like New York, because most things are in New York, aren't they, to be honest, let's face it. But that's actually quite cool in itself. That is actually not in New York, it's in Detroit, because obviously at the time, especially, Detroit was kind of a real rundown place, wasn't it? I'm not sure exactly.
Well, it almost looks like Rent-A-Gotham to me.
Yeah, definitely.
Batman, doesn't it? It's like Rent-A-Gotham set.
But I have to ask, though, with his amp that he obviously had that plugged into his, into his electric guitar or electric guitar, that where was the plug? I mean, is there a plug on the roof?
Yeah. Well, I was also going to say it's a decrepit, smashed up building. Where's the power?
Yeah, exactly.
He just left the power running.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, let's not overthink things, I guess, guys.
I was going to say, people will be listening to this going, so let me get it straight. You're picking logic holes in a film about someone being brought back from the dead with magical powers?
Yes, obviously. That kind of thing happens on a daily basis. Electricity does not.
No, it's all just a myth. But we then cut to this... I'm really jonesing on bad name stuff today, but one of the guys who's in the car is...
was that T-Bird?
Yes, thank you. Yes, in his car, which also has I don't know, it's supposed to be T-Bird or sort of like chrome motif, which I kind of like that they've done that. Yeah. Bit obvious, but they've done that. He's in his car and he's going to... Come on, brain. They're doing some sort of store robbery or something. Yeah. His pal's gone in, but Draven is in the car and basically does he like mind control or threaten him or something or force him to drive it, and then he ends up driving an attack and hitting one of his pals?
Yeah, so what happens in that scene as well is that I think he's got a gun, so he's forcing him to drive.
Yes, he holds him at gunpoint, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. And he's like, faster, sort of drive faster. The police are obviously on the tail then. And he obviously keeps going until he comes to like the waterfront. And they've managed to lose the police somehow. I can't remember exactly how that happened.
Well, they have to have. I made a note of the 2 bumbling police officer scene where they go after the car and one of them actually has to spill coffee on it.
Yes,
So,
coffee and donuts moment there. Yeah.
Let's stick with a trope that we all know. But yeah, he's chasing the police are chasing him down, and then he basically, it's going on, and then they lose the police, but it's the way he I think it's a really cool thing. He tapes him to the seat, doesn't he, of the car, and then has it. Does he stick a grenade in the car with him?
He sticks, yes, I think it's a grenade, and then he obviously puts a rock on the accelerator as well, doesn't it? A brick.
There's all bombs and things in. So he gets the car to drive off the edge of the pier into the water, but also, of course, has to explode in the process. Obviously, Eric felt that, just having him driving off and drowning wasn't enough. And had to have the thing exploding as well. But this is viewed by somebody else, isn't it? The guy's pal.
Yeah, I think
the little pal.
I think his name is Skank. Maybe.
Yeah. Sounds about right. Right.
I'm just going to click on the name a minute because I've got the names up in front of me. So I'm just going to click on the name and see if it was, if I see a picture of course, naturally, he hasn't got a picture of him. But that's okay. But I'm pretty certain it is him because those two were going, fire it up, fire it up, fire it up. And yes, I was just doing the gun signal in my hand as well. So there we go.
Excellent. And I do love the fact that obviously we then cut to the grave of Eric. That's been, it's open, it's empty, and the Candyman actor is there looking at it. The fact that nobody else seems to have sort of twigged that there's a giant open grave is, by the by.
Yeah.
But and I love the fact that we're then cutting to show that it's Sarah, her mum, is now, Darla has now returned to normalcy. And he's wearing a lovely, clean, nice robe and cooking eggs for breakfast. Never mind the fact that the entire apartment looks like a bomb site.
Yeah. Although, to be fair, their apartment is actually pretty clean for a, let's say, around 10-year-old girl to have kept clean. Because...
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough, yeah.
Because, I mean, she's around that age, isn't she, I'd say. So, But it's just because she's basically had to look after herself completely, hasn't she? So Sarah.
That's true. Well, her mother's absolutely drugged to the eyeballs. Yes, that's a fair. Okay, we'll give her a tick in the box on that one.
Yeah.
But we see the police, the further investigation by the police, and then you see the nice situation of of Sarah reuniting with Eric.
Yes.
I like the fact that she just has no problems, going around some weird, creepy, dilapidated building.
Yeah.
And reunites with him.
Yeah, which is a lovely scene in itself as well. Because there is a lot of, feels with this film.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of feel factor. And, it's like she said, I knew it was you. I knew it was you when you said it doesn't always rain, or it can't always rain, or something. It was a lyric from his song anyway. And, and
yeah.
Go on.
Because Eric has these nice, flashback moments, doesn't he, of when things were nice and normal. And
yeah. Because he saves her. I think it was a bit earlier on, but he saves her from getting run over by a van as well, doesn't he?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not all sunshine and roses, not even for the lovely white cat, which remains miraculously clean living in that building.
Although life does get a little bit better because Sarah gets given the cat. So
well, that's true.
Yeah. So at least it's got a new home.
the thing that I can't get my head around with this film is they all live in like what look like pretty horrible, like where the bad guys are all like dressed pretty immaculate, apart from the really skeevy ones.
Yeah.
They're all in like these really knackered looking old buildings and warehouses.
Yeah.
The bad guy dresses like he should be. His entire style's just like, I can't get my head around it. I don't know what he's going for.
What the
gloves, weird, Michael Wick, top dollar. I can't understand his clothing style in this.
Yeah. No. I suppose again, it's all the leather, isn't it? And it's just to sort of give the what does a bad man look like, or what does the bad guy look like? Dress him in leather, and then that will do, kind of thing, isn't it?
And I mean, this film could be set now in some respects because I assume these people can't afford to pay the lighting bill, because every time you see them, they're in like these dark buildings with only a few lights on, but obviously at very low wattage. Yeah.
But their office is actually above a nightclub, isn't it, basically? And there's like always bands playing.
That's true.
I love the music side of things from this film as well, which we'll get onto maybe a bit later. But this was definitely my cup of tea with the music. But yeah, all this, because this is the point when they're having a big meeting, aren't they, at their big table?
Their evil lair.
Yeah. And Skank is there, who's been a little bit beaten up himself.
A little bit.
Yeah. He's just like, he's coming for me. So he's drinking heavily because he knows that the next person that Eric is coming for is him. Because obviously all of his other mates have been killed that were involved in the rape and killing of him and Shelley. So Eric and Shelley, sorry. So yeah, so he's in a right state, but they just don't seem to care because he's probably...
Well, he's just hired help, isn't he, basically?
Yeah.
So he probably... Well, to be fair, Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, just quickly, to quote Anne Robinson, he's the weakest link. Goodbye.
He certainly is. Yeah. But obviously, he goes to the really cool element. They're all in their skeevy, dark boardroom that probably is full of dust, smell, and horrible smelly stuff. And Eric appears.
Yes.
And it's kind of weird if you think about the way going into looking at reality for a minute, that he was shot and killed filming something that's far earlier in the film with one shot from that gun, but the scene where he's out, where the character is absolutely blasted to pieces, was not something that killed him, because that there's quite a lot of obviously guns being used in that scene, firing blanks, etc.
Yeah.
But yeah, they really unload on him. Yeah. And obviously assume they've killed him. I mean, the message is clearly not getting through to these people, that for all the people that keep trying to kill Eric, he's not dead. Exactly. You think somewhere the message would come, they'd be like going, but we keep trying to shoot him. All the other guys have tried to shoot him, and it's not working. But no, they still think they're going to be able to finish him off. And, Bailing even tries to grab the crow, but obviously that isn't going to happen. But yeah, it's a very cool shootout scene.
Yes.
And we go into almost, what would you say, the style of shooting you got with, what's the director called? John Woo, double-handed gun scenes and slow motion.
Like Bad Boys and stuff like that, kind of thing.
if I'd where for this one scene, I'd be asking if John would direct. If I saw some doves flying around, then you'd think John Woo directed this scene. But yeah, you could definitely see for the shootout, it's either going to be directed by Michael Bay or John Woo, but it's very cool. And basically, Eric is just taking the entire gang apart piece by piece, shooting them.
Yes, he is. And like Skank is one of the last ones to go, isn't he?
He is. And I'm sure, isn't there a guy who's like in his underwear in there as well? That might actually be... There was just one guy where I'm sure in like one shot it looked like he's wearing like weird underwear with like hearts on it, but I might have imagined that. So.
No, I mean, you got a crazy imagination if that's the case. I don't remember, but I'm not saying it's not true. So, I just don't remember that bit. But, I mean, otherwise, James has clearly got a deranged thoughts of men in their underwear with hearts on.
I can't disagree with the fact that I've not gone deranged. So, yeah, it's certainly possible that I just mistook something I was looking at as that. So maybe I send a flashback to the start of Lethal Weapon 4 or something.
Maybe. But then equally, it might have been in that scene as well, because I might just have missed it or just not paid attention to it or whatever. So, I'm not disputing it wasn't there, but I'm just saying that if it wasn't there and people know for a fact it wasn't there, then we need to know what's going on in James's brain.
Alternatively, I'm just now having like visual hallucinations of things that aren't happening. But he does. He takes out Skank, and there's a really cool helicopter rooftop chase where the police are trying to catch Eric, and he's leaping from rooftop to rooftop. Yeah. And again, Ernie Hudson's character is probably off the clock at this point. Yeah. Because he's following him in the car.
Yeah, but still got his hat on.
Yeah. But yeah, it's kind of very cool special effects, because like Eric launches himself off a roof, doesn't it? I remember he then later on, when he's evaded all the police, meets up with Sarah.
Yes.
Sarah's the character of Sarah.
I wonder. I was going to say as well, I wonder how much of it was special effects, or whether Brandon Lee, got the wrong Lee there.
Just launched him off the top of things.
Yeah, but I wonder if because he has got the martial arts experience, and he did, like at the beginning there, I did say that he was like a martial arts choreographer. Thank you. Words just didn't want to come out my mouth then. I wonder if he did do some of the scenes himself.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me. I also find it interesting, correct me if I'm wrong, but just like as the film's going on, isn't Eric like wrapping himself up with masking tape? Like his clothes. I'm sure he is, because like he's been that pumped full of bullets. I'm sure there's parts of it where it looks like someone's just been like using black duct tape on him. Maybe.
because I know that he has got a lot of holes in, because I noticed that there's a lot of holes in his clothing where like bullets have gone through. Mm-hmm. But maybe I don't know, to keep it, making it look like it was real. I don't know.
Yeah, we won't kink shame him if that's what he wants to do.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, he used a lot of masking tape in the car scene, didn't he? So
that's true. He could have just taken that and I mean, I didn't think of that. Taking a black Sharpie to it.
You just paint on your skin a minute. Hold on.
But yeah, he sees Shelley because they're in the graveyard, aren't they? Which is where it is Shelley, isn't it? Yeah, where Shelley would be buried. So they have a nice little reunion there, and he gives her a necklace.
No, sorry, that was Sarah.
No, Sarah. Sorry, yeah.
That's okay. Shelley was his fiancée.
Yeah, so they're in the graveyard, and she obviously leaves to go, and lo and behold, the bad guys find her. Yeah. And she's leverage for them to get Eric. Again, I am amused. I like the fact they're spending all the time to try and kill Eric, but, it ain't going to work, people. Have you not learned anything so far?
But they've also kind of, because of Micah, they have worked out, though, that the crow is probably the thing that's keeping him alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a little snippet as to what we're moving on to at this point. So,
because he goes to Shelley's grave, doesn't he?
Yes,
and he's got some flowers there. When he's at the grave, but yeah, that it's moving as the film moves along, it moves to a very cool scene with guns and laser sighting and all cool stuff like that in the church where they're going to try and finish Eric off. And the crow is just, as you said, the use of the crow becomes ever more visible in the film, because you can see through the eyes of the crow what's happening, what's going to happen. But yes, we get to the wonderful standoff scene of Eric's character. And I keep just calling him Michael Wincott, but it is Top Dollar, the ultimate bad guy. They come to their standoff. Again, I'm sure Michael Wincott thinks that he's in some sort of possible samurai film because he's walking around with a sword.
Yes.
But yeah, he still decides to try and shoot him. And again, I'm highly amused by the fact they just spend the time shooting him when it isn't going to do anything.
Well, it's kind of because what's happened is one of the other baddies, so don't know, he wasn't the main character, so don't really know who he was, but he'd actually shot the crow. Mm-hmm. So that meant that Eric was weaker. So he could be hurt at that point. So, he realised that he couldn't heal up anymore,
because he gives him a kicking. And obviously, you're right. Yeah, either they're going to try and kill the crow.
Yeah.
It's the Candyman's. Again, apologies, but I'll just keep calling him Candyman. Candyman is about to try and kill the crow, and all looks lost because Eric's had a kicking he saw. But oh no, Winston Zedmore. Sorry, I mean Ernie Hudson comes in to save the day, and we get another extreme firefight.
We do. Yeah. Sorry,
just jumping back because just because of the Ghostbusters thing, that I love the bit in the apartment. He goes, "Are you a ghost?"
Yes, it would have been amazing if it had said, "I'm afraid of no ghost."
Yeah. Then Dan Aykroyd's like, "I'm suing you."
But yeah, that would have been amazing.
The entire might of the Aykroyd brings down the entire production.
Yeah, not the death of the leading actor, but just because one line was said.
Financially, Aykroyd destroys them.
Yeah, exactly. So, so basically there's this amazing fight scene and Sarah's hanging off the roof at one point as well. Mm-hmm. Which she's got incredibly strong fingertips, I have to say, because she was hanging there for quite a long time. But she didn't do the girly thing of saying, "Oh, Eric, help me." She just sat there, she just waited.
Well, she's been gagged as well, so.
I thought she.
I thought no. There's a point earlier on when she's been gagged, but obviously Eric, is going to try and save her. And I'm looking at a picture from this, and definitely is masking taped up. Okay. He's covered in masking tape. Duct tape.
James just wanted to make sure. He's now also Googling if there was a man with heart-shaped pants on.
Yeah, I can't find the answer to that one, and I'm getting some very weird search results. So stuff that I don't want to see ever again. But you're right, yeah. So it goes to when you're right about the hanging on with the fingertips thing, because they end up having a very Highlander style fight on the roof with swords, don't they? Yes. Which, to be honest, probably explains Top Dollar's entire thing. Yeah. Someone in the production was pretty good, right? Can we make this look like Highlander? They've both got long hair. Let's have them fight. Yeah. Can we stretch to lightning? No, we can't stretch to lightning, right? We'll just have it chucking it down all the time. We'll have them fighting on a rooftop. Yeah. Sold.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, it's a sword and a roof antenna, or whatever the word is. It's basically, because what I'm trying to say is that Eric has ripped something off the roof, hasn't he, as a sword? So, almost a cross or whatever, something off the church.
There's a cool nod to the comment that you remind him of about, losing an eye and smoking an eye. Bailing's character, well, let's put it this way. The crow does what a crow is very good at and pecks her eye out, doesn't it? And she then falls down the belfry. So, where poor Ernie's stuck at the bottom.
Yeah, because he's been shot, hasn't he?
Yes.
So, he's being good. He's just sitting there waiting for somebody to come get him. But, probably kicking himself that he can't actually help, but there you go.
Mm-hmm. Although he's probably safer at the bottom than he is at the top, because as we as the fight has gone on and Eric has, rather like Wolverine, survived being run through he then takes his revenge on Top Dollar and like does the weird mind meldy shit, doesn't he? And shows, and well, he sees the death of his fiancée and then pushes Top Dollar off the roof. Again, wonderful 90s dramatic special effects fashion.
Yeah.
But he does save Sarah, doesn't he? Who, as he said, must have the strongest. How old is she? Like 12? She must have the strongest arms ever.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't know how old she is actually. Like, I guessed that 10 earlier, but yeah, she could definitely be 12. So she's
a child anyway.
Yeah. So she's no older than 12. That's definite. But I think also she appears older because she's had to grow up so quickly because she had to look after herself. So she could even be 8.
But she's never ever forgotten arm workout day. Clearly.
No, exactly. But what I was trying to say earlier as well is that what I did like was the fact that she wasn't there sort of screaming, Eric, help me. She was actually just defending herself, that kind of shows the character that she is, rather than being a typical female in an action film that always goes, oh my God, I'm going to die, help me, Whereas he actually was obviously in the middle of something. She realised that, and then she needed to just shut the fuck up and wait for him to help her.
But yeah, and then he saves her, gets her off the ledge, and then they go down again. I'm having a Batman flashback moment, but they go down the old belfry and reunite with Ernie Hudson's character, who's looking a bit worse for wear. The exchange of smoking happens, which again dates the film Sykes. You're not allowed to see smoking or anything anymore.
No, exactly. He's like, he's going to give up that shit, isn't he? Yeah. Because,
absolutely, yeah.
Because apparently it's not good for you.
No, now we wouldn't even be able to have a cigarette in scenes, would you? Banned.
I don't know. Is smoking completely banned in films?
It is, if it's, believe it or not, if it's a Disney film, or a film that's owned by Disney, you are not allowed now to show any smoking at all in it.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, okay. Which was going on to a superhero tangent for a second. When they made the Wolverine, they couldn't show him smoking.
Oh.
They could show him in Logan. He's seen to grab cigars, but he's never allowed to be seen smoking them.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's interesting. I suppose that helps to stop glorifying smoking, at least, anyways, isn't it?
It's all right that he, stabs people through the head and kills people, but you can't have smoking. You can also you can have violence and sex scenes, but smoking, no. Not in an 18 film, no smoking.
Well, yeah, fair enough.
Claws through the head, fine, not a problem.
Make it a PG. Smoking, no, X-rated.
Yeah, definitely. But to digress, so good old Ernie has survived. He's probably feeling a bit worse for wear, but he's survived. He's done okay. He's probably, as I feel, but Eric, bless him, in his duct taped, bullet holed clothing, has dragged his sore, battered body to Shelley's gravestone.
Yeah.
And he's looking a bit worse for wear. You can tell because his makeup started to run.
Yeah, I was quite impressed, actually. I was thinking I'd like to invest in that makeup because, clearly it doesn't run very much. So, because all the rain, because it was raining literally all the time. And, he still looked pretty good. So...
Yeah, you would think with the level of rain this was set in Seattle, but clearly not.
No.
But yeah, so Ernie is loaded back onto the old not loaded back on. He's loaded into a ambulance to increase his chance of survival, so he can be saved. And Eric's basically finally shuffling off the mortal coil. But wait, he sees the ghost. I'm thinking of Shelley, is it? Yeah, a ghost. Yeah. I don't know. Is it a ghost? Has she come back? She's not a zombie, is she? So
no. I think it's to symbolise that she's come back, and maybe he was like a lost soul, that he, he couldn't find his way because of the actually, that's what's said at the very beginning, isn't it? That sometimes a terrible thing happens, that the soul is lost and then it's brought back, so that's, and obviously she's gone to heaven, which I'm assuming is because she was all in white and stuff. So she's probably just turned up to actually bring him to heaven,
Help him pass to the other side without problem. Yeah, and then, so they're reunited, they vanish, and then it cuts to his grave is filled again. Don't know if someone's done that or it just magically happens.
Just magically happens.
The crow lands with the ring, the ring, and the ring is collected by...
Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah.
That's
yes.
All right.
And then we see a lovely model shot. The CGI crow or something, or a green screen crow flying off as everything has been righted and returned back to what it was. Yeah. And if you like this film, don't watch any of the sequels.
Absolutely.
Diminishing returns.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that. Absolutely. But I quite like the shots of, like how they did the like initial shot when they came in, which was, it was the viewpoint of the crow. Like the filming of it, you looked like you were actually flying with the crow kind of thing. And at the end, they repeated that same sequence. So I quite like that as well. And just quickly as well, Ernie Hudson managed to, with the horrible cop, he got to say the sentence of, again, it's not verbatim, but, something along the lines of, "You missed all the action." Kind of thing. It's all up there, you can pick up the bodies now, kind of thing. Because obviously Top Dollar had been killed and he was obviously trying to catch him or something. So...
And with the end of the film, Michael Wincott was hosed down and shuffled off to the set of Strange Days.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And I was going to ask you as well, out of all of the kill scenes, what was one of your favourite ones?
Just for the fact that he got him in the end, I kind of liked the fact that the Top Dollar was killed and also the cheesy falling backward special effect. And the cool on the roof fight, I enjoyed that. So what about you? My
one is the one in the car. So, for... for T-Bird, was it? So I just, definitely I'd love that one. I just think it was really sort of dramatic and stuff like that, but at the same time, it was also quite a fun scene for a dramatic scene, if that makes sense. So
very true. Yeah. Very true. Yeah. So if you to discuss The Crow, as we have done as our Halloween episode, how you obviously have mentioned you're a fan of this, so what would you give it out of 10?
Out of 10? Wow. I think I'm going to have to go full stars, to be honest. Because obviously, looking at it as, it was 1994, so the graphic side of things weren't fantastic, but for the time they were, and the storyline is brilliant as well. But I always fear as though you can't fully give a whole mark for something, if you know what I mean. So I'm going to give it 9 because there's always room for improvement. But I can't give it any less than that because let's face it, a bloody guy, not a bloody guy, but a guy died to actually do this film, So at least they left that shooting part. Well, that's bad wording, isn't it?
What they could have it, yeah. What they could have it.
But no, what I was going to say was at least they left that bit of filming until towards the end, because that would have been awful, wouldn't it?
The question I ask on this sort of film as a controversial point is, would it have been as successful if he hadn't died? And I doubt it would have done. I think it would have probably flown under the radar a bit. It probably would have done okay at the box office, but I think it got the extra push of success due to the tragic thing that happened. Because I honestly do believe it's not a bad film. It's not in my top 10. I give it sort of a 7 or an 8. It's okay. I think it has aged as a piece, but I do honestly feel that if he'd survived, he would have gone on to much greater and bigger things, I'm sure. But I think it probably would have been like one of these, well, it's okay. It's done all right as a film. It's okay. But I think it did definitely, from the tragedy of that, it profited from that in some respects. But it wasn't a huge box office smash, that's for sure. It would be interesting to see if he hadn't died, if he would have done any sequels, and if they had done sequels, if it would have been with him, because logically, because they couldn't use him, the sequels change and you're getting really weird stuff like Eddie Furlong was in one of them, and very odd run on them. Yeah,
I've never actually watched the sequels. I've just heard they're so bad that I just decided that I can't waste my time watching them.
So you're missing nothing.
I didn't think it would be. I just thought we just, instead of stars, we should have given squawks, shouldn't we?
Squawk! How many or the feathers in a wing? Yes.
Yeah.
But no, I'm really glad that we got to discuss this film, because it's an interesting one. It's I am highly amused by the fact still that they're all hanging around in these really dilapidated looking buildings, supposedly like huge, criminal people.
Yeah, absolutely. And it only took us watching 3 films to get to this film, and it took us 3 attempts to record this episode as well. So we've done really well actually now. We have.
Tadpoles, you have no idea how tough this one has been to actually manage to get to do.
Yeah.
So we have done well.
Originally this was going to be Phantasm 1, wasn't it? But then my DVD player conked out, and I'm not sure if the region of the DVD is actually able to be played on it anyway, but I will watch it and we will review it at some point. Then we watched another film which I've forgotten what it was called, Things Seen and Heard, wasn't it, or something? I don't know if you watched it. I did.
Yes. No, I did. I saw that one.
Yeah, so that was going to be our second option, and then we decided that because that wasn't spooky enough, we decided that The Crow was the one we were going to go for. Yeah. So
the other one wasn't scary and weird enough, so we went with The Crow, which isn't particularly scary, but it's weird and spooky and Halloween-y. So good choice.
And definitely based at Halloween as well, isn't it? So
yes, it certainly is. But no, it's it's not. I don't dislike the film, but I think it's one of these ones where I suspect because of what happened around it, it builds. It's had more built up around it and more kind of reverence than it would have originally got. But hey, that's not a problem. It's a nice thing for the man to have his name to. So it's a good piece.
Yeah, so at least it was a success because, like you said, it wasn't necessarily a success when it was released, like at the cinema and stuff. But I think that was because Paramount, like I said earlier, Paramount didn't want to release it much because of obviously the controversy behind it.
Well, they didn't they? Miramax took it on, so it became a Miramax distributed film.
Oh, of course it is. Yeah, because that's what it was at the beginning, wasn't it? So I still stand by. I'm sort of leaning towards maybe going down a little bit lower, but I think I'm still going to stick with a 9. Yeah.
Well, that's fair enough. So I'll go with a 7 or 8. And what I will say is if you ever feel like you need to punish yourself for anything, whack the sequels on.
Yeah, absolutely. But listen to this podcast first, because
absolutely.
We might punish you too.
Yeah, that's true. I would say, Gemma, we've been talking of spooky Halloweeny celluloid Codswallop this episode.
We have.
So I just want to say a huge thank you for sitting down with me and reviewing this and suggesting it as well. It was a very good suggestion because it's what I've not seen for a very long time.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
You're absolutely welcome, even though this is your side baby,
Yep.
But, I always have an input, I always like to have me put my foot in, don't I?
Yeah. So on that note, on that celluloid Codswallop note, I have been James.
I have been Gemma.
Have fun, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That's a wrap. I'm going to keep trying to get that in.
A duct tape wrap.
Yeah.